Okay. Okay. So, so when is just to keep up to date, so when is um, we have um, the project presentation April 28th. So that would be a week from today. Okay. So next Tuesday will be on your projects will need to presented between 7 and 11:59 p.m. Right? We got that? And you could look in the folder if you have any questions, email me or after class. We'll discuss it. Okay, meanwhile, let's do our presentation. Okay. So, go ahead. Oh, yeah.
Hello everyone, I am MD Azad. Today I will quickly explain the difference between OLTP and OLAP and why they matter. Almost every app today uses a database, but not all databases do the same thing. Some handle everyday actions like orders or payments, and others analyze data to help make decisions. So the key idea is transactions versus analysis. First, OLTP, uh, online transaction processing. This is used for real-time transactions like placing an order or making a payment. It's built to be fast, handle lots of users, and process many small queries. So basically, OLTP runs the day-to-day operations. And now OLAP, online analytical processing. This is used for analyzing data. It runs more complex queries on large data sets, usually using historical data. In simple terms, OLAP helps business understand patterns and make decisions. So the main differences are simple, like OLTP is for real-time operations, where OLAP is for analysis. OLTP handles many small queries, where OLAP handles fewer but more complex ones. And OLTP uses current data, while OLAP uses past data. Also, like if in simple terms, I can say OLAP makes like better decision and OLTP handles large scale data. In real life, OLTP and OLAP are used together. For example, Amazon uses OLTP for checkout and transactions, where OLAP to analyze sales and customer data. Also, like OLTP handles day-to-day operations, where OLAP provides insight for better decisions. So in short, OLTP runs the business, and OLAP improves the business. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you. So today I want to start with chapter 5. So we're going to be doing design UML diagrams. And this is actually pretty important chapter. So I don't know why not that many people are here tonight. So or why not? Because this is kind of important. Okay, so so basically we're doing different types of diagrams. Okay, UML diagrams. So tonight is diagram night. So let me go to my folder and let's go through them. So, okay, so we're up to here. Okay, so let's just skip that part. Okay. This is 5? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So we start out with what we did last time, which is a use case diagram. Okay. Do you remember how do you read this? What are the ovals in the inside the box? What does the box represent? Anybody remember? Actually, I wrote it right above here, right? So the box represents our system, right? And no, it's the system we're developing. And then within our system, we have the ovals, which are um, the types of resources that we provide, right? The services or resources that we're going to provide. So, for example, um, our at least in this diagram, our system will provide 4 services. One is view items, make purchase, complete checkout, and login. Those are the services that we're giving available for other people to use. And the question is, who's going to use them? So these are people outside the system that are going to interact with our system. So for example, here we have a customer, here we have authentication. So these are called the actors, right? So this is would you say this is a high level or low level diagram? What would you call this? High or low? What? High level, right? Right, because it's very there's not that much complexity, right? It's not telling you how it's written, how it works, anything, right? It's just telling you it's like from a management perspective, like even more than management, maybe the CEO might look at this, right? They'll say this is, what the stuff we're going to uh, 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 I don't know. I give up. Anyhow, so that is so this is called a use case diagram, okay? Got that? Use case diagram. Okay, this is even higher level. This is definitely what the CEO would look at, meaning we're really providing very little detail about our program. So basically in this diagram, the circle is our system, or we call it community. I don't know why it's called that, but whatever. Our system goes in the middle, and then around it are um, the different programs or other things that interact with our system. But it over here we're saying with which part of our system they interact. Over here we're just saying that they interact with our system. So it's even higher level, right? It's telling you a very like just one piece of information. Who interacts with our system? right? So, here's another example. So our program would be in the middle, and this would be the boxes would be the people that interact with our online community system. Okay. Okay. So this is the name of this is a context diagram. Okay. And the reason why this is, I should write that. Oh, it is called, okay, it says it. The reason why it's called a context diagram is because it's showing like how does our program fit in to the rest of the world, right? In other words, where we fit in, right? Like if you write a program, let's say that does AI, right? Right, AI coding. So where does that program fit in? Probably it fits in between um, it fits in between the programmer and then the output, I guess, that it gives, right? The people who read the output, right? So between the input would be from the user, and then it would output something to a screen or something, right? Or, okay, so this is an example of a um, context diagram. Okay, now, so this is really the highest level diagram, right? Okay, now we've already done a class diagram, right? So let me just review that. So this would be probably the one of the more low level, right? Do you remember what a class diagram looks like? Like, so for example, remember these diagrams over here? Um, so these are details. These are like low level, right? It's telling you the actual objects, what's inside of them, and who they interact with, right? So this would be a very low level diagram, right? Okay, this would probably much the lowest level diagram that we've seen so far, right? Okay, so or it's one of the lower. We'll see. We're going to come to other types of diagram. Okay, now the next one. This is actually from the book. This is actually they're all in chapter 5, I think. Um, I just took different pictures of it. I mean, different. I added some of my own stuff. So this over here is called an UML activity diagram. Okay. And what this means is it's showing you not the objects, but it's showing you how the program the things it's supposed to do from um, from a programmer's or from developer's point of view. In other words, if I want to show my boss, okay, this is how I understand how the program works, so I would make this type of diagram, right? In other words, I say, okay, so basically we start over here, we end over here, and then we go through these different decisions, we decide this, and based on that, we're going to do this A, B, or C, or we'll do, D, E, F, right? So, okay, so the way you read this diagram is, okay, this is more symbols than the previous diagrams. So in this case, we always start out with the circle that's the solid circle. That's always the starting point for all these diagrams. Okay. If you ever see a solid circle, that's means start. Start here. And wherever you see a circle with um, a white around it, which I think it's called bullseye, right? That's where it ends. So we know by looking at this diagram, we're going to start over here and we're going to end over there. Okay? That's our goal. Our goal is to get through here to here. Now, the what's being discussed in this diagram. So a little background is that this is discussing. Oh, somebody's here. Okay, so this is discussing the what we're doing is we're this is like a medical system which is trying to um, it's handling a, a person who needs to be admitted to hospital, um, and they're like some type of mental issue, right? So so basically it's probably involuntary. I forgot exactly the whole story behind it, but that's the basic idea, right? We're trying to take somebody, put them in the hospital for a mental condition. Okay, they might be acting weird, or they might be trying to harm themselves, whatever it is. So the first thing, so we start at the beginning, and the first activity we're going to do. Remember, this is called the activity diagram. So this is our first activity, right? Where the only activity is that we have to confirm that it's a good idea that this person actually needs to be placed in the hospital. Okay? They need to be against their will, right? So um, that's the first activity. Okay. So after we do that activity, our next activity is going to be, well, what does this bar mean? We go to a bar, right? So what this bar means is it basically means that we could we have to do everything that comes out of the bar, but we could do them in parallel, right? Meaning that we could at the same time do both of these things. So, for example, let's say inform patient of their rights takes 10 minutes and record detection decision takes 20 minutes, right? How long would this step take? Well, we could do them together at the same time, right? One person could inform the patient, another person could record it, right? So how long would it take? This would take 10 minutes and this take 20 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right, because we could do them both together in parallel. Right? This one, right? So that's what this bar means. This bar means you have to do whatever's after the bar, but you could do them in parallel. If you couldn't do them in parallel, what would it look like? It would look like they'd have one, and that'd be an arrow to the next one. We have an example like that. Um, Let me just see. Now, let me find an example of a UML activity diagram like that doesn't do it like that. Activity diagram. So, for example, if right, you look over here and where we are, where is it? Oh, here we are. So, so over here, you have to do them one at a time. First, you do this one, then you do this one, then you do this one, then you do that one. Right? This is not, you can't do all three of them at the same time. Right? This is serial, right? One after another. First, you finish this, then you do this, then you do that. Right? Okay. And then again, over here, you go over here, this, and then you finish. Okay, so that's the idea behind this symbol over here. That means you don't have to do one after the other, but rather you could do them both at the same time. Okay? I assume you need two people doing that, right? Otherwise, you know, how can you do in parallel? Um, the next thing is we have this bar over here. This bar over here means wait until both of these guys are finished. Okay? So this means after you go to this bar, you could do both of these together. And then the next bar means like we have to wait until both of these things are finished, and then we can continue, right? Which makes sense, right? Because first you have to finish this up before you continue. Then we hit this triangle, okay, right? Because that's our next step. So when we go to this, I'm sorry, not triangle, this diamond, when we go to this diamond basically is a fork, meaning that we go in one way, but we can only go out one way or the other. Okay, so we have to, it doesn't have to be only two ways, could be four ways, but the point is that we're only going to go out one of those ways, right? So we have to decide, and it explains over here what the decision is. The decision is the individual dangerous or is individual not dangerous? And based on those decisions, we'll go one way or we'll go the other. So for example, if the patient is considered to be not dangerous, then we go to admit to hospital. Okay? And if um, the patient is dangerous, either to himself or to other people, so then we have to find a secure place. And then this should really be another triangle. I don't know why they didn't do that. Because it's either, because then again, it's another fork. Either there's one available or there's not one available, right? It sort of like skipped a step. There should be another fork over here, right? You see what I'm saying? Like they sort of, this is from the book, but they sort of skipped a little step, right? So you understand does everybody understand what I'm saying? In other words, uh, let's say, let me copy this for a second. Let me put it into Paint. Okay, because like, okay, I could, why isn't it getting larger? Um, what, it doesn't make this bigger. Uh, let me, uh, let me just do this again. I'm not that good at this stuff. Okay. Okay. So after we our activities to find a secure place, right? It's really we have to make a decision. So really, this symbol over here. Um, so we should really take this symbol, copy it, and this should really go over here somewhere. And now it's we do that again. And now this should really go over here, right? Because, and then there should be like a line from here to here. That didn't work too well. Try that again. So we really need a line that would go from here to here. And then we would have to decide if there's not available or available, right? That's really what's going on. So we have to, and there's another decision to be made that is there one available or not? If it's not available, then we go here. If it is available, then we go from here to here, right? So that's really the way it should look. Okay, but he shortened it, I guess, for space for whatever reason. Anyhow, so we have to. So do you got that now? maybe I'll copy, put it back in here. Copy, put it back in here. And let's just put that back in. Okay. So, okay. So now we're up to, let me just save that. Okay. So now we're up to, so if it's transferred to station, okay, here he's also a little bit confusing. So let me just fix it up again. Uh, so over here, I got to copy this guy again. I'm sorry, just it's from the book, but I think it's a little bit like he left out parts and it gets confusing. So I'll just show you I'll just show you the right way to do it. Uh, Come on. Okay. So really, this should really be okay. So really what should go on is this should be go on. This would be go on. Get rid of that. Okay. Okay. So what really should happen is that as soon as you transfer to the police station, or as soon as you transfer to a secure hospital, or as soon as you admit to a hospital, right? You go into one of these, the opposite of this. So this, you go in one and you exit through one of two. Over here, you enter through one of three, and then you exit over here. That's how you should do it. Okay? You got that? In other words, if you transit a police station, you don't have to wait to, does it, you don't wait. No, over here, you're waiting for both of these activities to to finish, right? But over here, you're not waiting, right? For all three, you're just waiting for any of them that finishes, you want to continue, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Over here, this means wait to continue. Over here, we don't want to wait for all three. We only want to wait for one of them, and whichever one of them is completed, then we continue to the next bar. And then as we go to this bar, we have three things to do, and then we wait until we do those three things. And I'm missing a bullseye. What happened to my bullseye? Uh, oh, I missed my bullseye. I'll have to make one. So what do I do? A bullseye? I got to do a circle, and then I'm not good at this. And I got to do a filled circle uh, inside of it. Uh, yeah, move this over a little bit. Uh, okay, whatever. It looks like a donut. And then I'll pour in some, where's the, uh, here, I'll pour in some, oh, oh, that's what I should have done. I should have done the solid fill like that. That would have done it. Oh, okay, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, and then I want to do is here, that would be the end, right? The end. Okay. So this would be the way we should do it. Meaning, okay, you got all the steps. So let me just get rid of this over here. Uh, a second. Okay. 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 So, oh, and then we need I lost my line. Okay. So, so basically the way it works is, um, okay, so should we do it one more time? So this is, I think, the correct way it should look. Okay. Um, so I'll select all and I'll put it back in here and then we'll look at it again. Okay. So, uh, uh, oh, I didn't copy. File, edit, copy. And then it should go. Okay. So, okay. So this is what it should look like really. So the way, I'll just save it. Okay. So it should really look like this. So we start again, let's do it one more time. And then I'll go on Google and we'll find some other one to look through. So over here, we start over here. The first thing we do is this activity. Um, it's a little bit weird because there's no option that we made a mistake, right? It's like we're always right, right? So, but in real life, there would be a fork could say, did we make the right decision? Yes or no, right? So, but over here, we always make the right decision, and then we do these two things um, in parallel, and then we wait over here till we inform the patient and we record their detention decision, and then we have to decide whether the patient is dangerous or not dangerous. And if the patient is not dangerous, they go to a hospital. If they are dangerous, we look for a secure place. And then if we didn't find one, well, we have to leave them in a somewhere. So we leave them by a police station. If we did find somewhere, then we transfer them to a secure hospital. But whichever of these three places the patient is in, we go over here to this is not, this is the left side. So we have three going in and we have one going out. So whoever comes here the first exits, right? So whichever facility it went to, we exit right away. And then we have to do these three things. And then as soon as we did the informed social care, inform the extricate update register, then we're done. Okay, we wait till all three are done, and then we go to the what's it called? The um uh uh what's it called? We shoot an arrow. What's it called? Uh it's called a tar I just said the word before. Whatever, it's like where you shoot a target, right? Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, when you shoot an arrow, it's called a target. No, it's not. Whatever. I'll remember the name. Okay. Anyhow, but that's what's. Does he have the name here? Uh, it's called a. It's called. They call it the N symbol. Ah, that's boring. No, whatever. Oh yeah. By the way, yeah. Here you see, I actually went through all the symbols. So this is start activity, right? This is a connector. Um, this is. I have a whole empty page. Let me just get rid of one of these pages. Uh, okay. So here we have what I was mentioning before, that when two things are going into a bar, you synchronize, meaning you wait, um, right? So we have two concurrent, which apparently means the same as parallel, right? Activities, and now they're going back from two to one, right? And over here, it's the opposite. We're going from one activity to two parallel activities. And this is what we said is the decision, and this is the end, right? So, And then, oh, here's another example. Like this has to do with somebody looking through their email, right? So basically, they open their email or they look at their email. They say if it's important, they're going to read it. If it's junk, it's going to go. Why is this cut off? If it's junk, it goes to, I think, delete it. What happened to my image? Somehow it got deleted. Okay, but the idea is, and then it goes from here into there, meaning that whichever, whether I read it or I deleted it, I continue over here. Okay? So let's just look at some examples of other ones. So UML activity diagram. Let's look at this one over here. Is this the same one? Uh, so, so example over here, uh, um, okay, so I don't know I'm not sure what, okay, so over here, we start out over here, right? And we're going to end up over here. So we know what direction we have to go, right? We have to start over here. Oops. Um, we start over here and we go to receive order. And then either the order is rejected, in which case we go to A, whatever A is, or order is accepted, and then we go to fill order. And then once we go to fill order, we have a bunch of things to do. We have to ship the order, and at the same time, we have to send an invoice. The person has to make a payment. We have to accept the payment, and then we wait. And then when it's shipped and we got the payment, then we could go to close order, end of the thing. It's not such, I don't know what this A thing over here is. Doesn't really show us anything. Okay. There's no decision to make, really. Um, let's look at another example. Um, let's do one makes it a little more easier to understand. Okay, let's say this one maybe. So over here, we're starting, what is doing? Oh, whatever. Forget about the writing on the side. So we're starting over here. We go to step one, and then if it's true, we go to step two. If it's no, then we go over here. We skip step two, and either way, we continue to step three, in which case I don't like this one. And then we're done. Okay. But you saw how you read it? So you start over here, you go to step one, then you ask true or false something. So if it's true, we go over here. If it's no, we go over here. We skip step two. Then we continue to step three, and then we wait to do these two parallel activities. And then when both of these steps 4.1 and 4.2 are done, then we are done. Okay? I don't like that diagram. Okay, that's not a great one. Okay, maybe we'll do one more. Let's see this one over here. Okay, so over here, we start over here and we end up over there. Okay, so this looks like a library book, right? So over here, they're looking for a book. We check if the book is available, and either if it's not available, then we're done, right? That's it. If the book is available, then I guess we check. It probably means their library card. If their library card is valid, we issue the book. If it's not valid, we don't. There should also be an end state over here, right? Um, it's sort of, you sort of like get lost over here. Like what happens after here, right? They sort of, they should have an arrow that goes from here to the end state, right? There should be like a little arrow. Next thing is you're done, right? Um, but if it's valid, you issue the book and you update the book status. That's missing a line from here to here, right? Because if you don't issue the book, what do? You just sit around. Um, okay. So, okay, it's not the best diagram. Okay. So you got the hang of it? Okay, so this is a UML activity diagram. Okay, you could look at them yourself and play around with them. Okay, actually over here, let's see what this is. Okay, this is the same thing, except that it's you notice that it's there's extra like lines in it, right? You see these actor 1, 2, and 3, three little rectangles here, right? So that this is called those swim lines. Okay. Why is it called that? Because it looks like a swimming pool, right? Right, that each swimmer has their own lane, right? Right. You don't, right? Like sometime when you have a race, you could run in front of somebody else, I think, right? But in a swimming competition, you have to stay in your lane, right? So over here is we're adding more, we're taking that UML diagram that we just learned about, and we're giving it even more information, right? What are we adding? We're adding which object does which activities, right? So you see over here, we started out with the initial action over here. That's done by actor 1. Actor 1 just does one thing. Actor 3 does two things, and actor 2 does two things also, right? So we sort of divided the diagram. We added more information to the diagram, right? By person who does it. Okay? So for example, but the way you read is still exactly the same. So you start with over here, you go from action to whatever, and then from here we make a decision, and we either go one way or we go the other way. If we go this way, we have to do these two in parallel. We wait, and then we go over here, we finish. Or if we go from here to here, if we go this direction, we do this activity, and then we end, right? So that's how you read it. But can everybody read this? Can we start from here and end over here? Does it make sense how it flows? Yeah? Because if you want to ask me a question about any part of it, I'll explain it. Yeah.
Circles me at first.
Oh, you mean this over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fork. Those are the forks. Yeah. Though they call this a fork, whatever. Uh, but basically, you have to make. Yeah, well, here it's called you making a decision. Here, it's called where two things are leaving it. It's a decision. Where two are going into it, it's called a merge, right? This is called a join because you have to wait till both of them are completed, right? It's different than the merge, right? Over here, whoever finishes continues. Over here, you have to wait to both of them to finish before you continue. Okay? Sort of like like you have a bus, you're waiting for everybody to get on board. You don't just leave after one person gets on, right? You have to wait till everybody. Uh, I don't know if that's a good example or not. Okay, so this is another example of a swim lane. Um, again, I'm trying to make it a little smaller. So in this example, we have um, we have author, reviewer, approver, and owner, right? So these are the four objects, and then we have one, two. Forget about the boxes. We're only dealing with um, the the ovals. So create, update, review draft, approve, archive, and review effective. Those are the only activities. Okay. So yeah, I'm not sure what those boxes like how they fit in normally. I think it means maybe. I mean, I know what it's doing. It's saying we're creating that document, but it's really, I don't know, it's a little bit, whatever, ignore those. Okay, so just concentrate on the ovals. So we start with create document, and then we go to review draft, and then we go to the approver to approve of it. And if the approver doesn't approve of it, we go all the way up here, and then author updates it, and then it goes back again for approval, right? And then if he doesn't approve it, the author updates it again, it comes all the way down here, and then if it's not approved, it goes back to the author, right? So what do you see over here? What could go wrong over here? Right, you can have an endless loop, right? The the author the approver is never happy and keeps getting not approved and the person keeps on updating it or maybe doesn't bother updating it. It goes back for approval and then it keeps going on and on that forever, right? You give endless loop. Right, but if the person approves it, then it does a review if the reviewer reviews it and um, if there's still if the reviewer decided it needed a change, then it goes back into this loop over here. And if there's no more change, it goes into the archive, the owner's archive, and then we're done. Okay. So that's the flow, right? The person writes it or updates it, the reviewer reviews it, the approver approves of it, and well, actually, first the approver approves of it, then the reviewer. Uh, I see. The approver approves it. Reviewer looks at it. Uh, well, it's a little bit weird because the reviewer is reviewing it, but it always goes for approval. So why are they reviewing it? Whatever. It's a weird example. So I guess I didn't want to make it too complicated. So, but basically, the approver approves it once, but the reviewer looks at it once before and after it's approved, right? Meaning that even if the approver approves of it, right, you still have a you still have a reviewer look it over and they have to make sure that it's still good, right? So they could decide whether it needs another change. Okay. So the reviewer is pretty powerful, right? The approver also, I guess, is also powerful because they could always not approve it, and the reviewer could say it always also could send it into an endless loop, right? So either the approver or the reviewer could make it go in endless loop and never get it. It'll never get finished. That's pretty cool, huh? So we just learned in, I don't know, not too much time, we learned pretty cool diagrams, right? So if you go looking for a job and you draw one of these things, you'll be really impressive because no one else is going to know how to read this, right? It only took us how long to read it? Maybe a half hour. So So, but I remember where I worked, there was somebody who came into our group and a new person. And I remember this person did some type of diagram, and none of us knew anything he drew, what the guy was drawing. And we were so impressed, like, wow, this guy is, really professional. Yeah. But now you know how to do it, right? And if you download this tool or you could do it online, it's easier on Windows. Visual Paradigm, you could do it yourself, right? So you could make your own activity diagram. Um, I'm not going to bother doing it. Okay. Next, we'll do one more diagram, and this is called a sequence diagram. Okay. Now this was a pretty high level diagram, right? Because we weren't discussing the the we're just discussing the basic flow of the program, how it's going to work, right? Over here is actually a sequence diagram is actually low level, right? So it's telling us that we're looking at the actor, the patient info, whatever object, the database object, and authorization object. And these lines represent messages between the objects. Okay? And I don't know why it's cut off. How did everything get cut off? Uh, I copied it from the book. I'll find another one. Um, But the basic idea is that oh yeah, why is it called a sequence diagram, right? And also, how do you know what goes first, right? Right? Where do you start from? The right, the left, right? And what are these objects? So um, actually, um, okay, so um, do I have another example? Okay, here's a better example. Here we go. So, okay. So here would be an example of a actor who's an ATM user and three objects, ATM, computer, and database, right? And we start so the sequence of messages always starts at the top going down. So when we're going from top to bottom, that represents the passage of time, right? So we always start at the topmost message. Usually it's on the left side, but I've seen it on the right side also. Okay. But the way it works is from top to bottom. So wherever is on the first message would be over here. So the first message starts from the ATM user to the ATM. And the person says, I need money. And that's the message. And then the ATM, in turn, sends a message to the computer that asks, does this customer have money? And the computer says, I don't know. I'll ask the database. So he asks the database, what is the balance? Now, the database responds, no money, right? Okay. And you notice that the return message is a dotted line. Okay. And then in turn the computer sends a message to the ATM, which was saying, was refused. And then the ATM tells the user, sorry, bud, you can't get the money. You don't have enough of the balance. Okay. So that would be how it goes. So we start from here, right? We're going in order of time. This would be the next one, and the next one. Okay. Okay. So now just to um, Now, some of these things have weird names. Now, maybe I should do just do a simple one. Um, a, uh, what's it called again? Uh, it's called, oh, here we are, visual paradigm. There's like, it's a very old program, but they, they made a internet version of it. Um, okay, so like, I haven't, let's do like a new, okay, so you could, over here, you could do wait a second, so let's say I want to do a new, let's say I want to add a new diagram, okay? So, um, so it gives me a bunch of diagrams. So here is a sequence diagram. Let's do a blank one. Let's call it sequence diagram one. Okay, so this would be, okay, so, where's our actor? So we can start out with our actor is over here. Now, this, you see this thing over here? So this, this is called the activation bar, okay? And what that means is the amount of time, by the way, there's a lot of things you could do with this. We're not going to do it, okay? I just want to show you, it's easier, I think, to show you the, um, okay, okay, these are called lifelines. It's hard to believe that's what they're called, but so in our example, let me make it bigger. In our example, the actor was a ATM user, right? And the first lifeline was what? The ATM, then was the computer, and then the third thing was the database, right? Okay. And then so now the reason why this is called I'm not sure why it's called a lifeline. Um, maybe because I never figured it out. If you find out why this is called a lifeline, but that's what it is. So these three objects are called lifelines, okay? And then you basically usually, in this case, we're going to start from the over here, and we're going to send a message, come on, to the um, we're going to ask for money, right? And then now this, you see this thing over here, this blue thing? This is called the activation bar. And what that means is how much time is this object being active? It's not really that, I don't know why we really care, but that's what it represents, okay? So the blue thing is called the activation. And then, so for example, let's say you send a message from here to the computer, right? This would have to be lower, right? Because it has some time passed, right? So over here, it would be like, it would say, check balance. Uh, is there money in account? And then the computer, uh, and then the computer would ask the same question to the database. Where is the database? Okay. Um, check balance. And then over here, you would make a return message from here to here. Why did it go? It doesn't like here. Whatever. Okay, but that, whatever, the idea is then we would, we were recording, right? Yeah. And then we would maybe make this a little bigger. And we would take a message, go over here, that direction. And then we would say no money. Now, I have to make this a dotted line, right? So I'm going to change this to type reply. So it's a dotted line. Okay, so you get the idea, right? And then we send another message. We reply again over here. Okay, you got the idea, right? So that's basically how it works. So again, these are called life. I don't think this is not called the lifeline for some reason. This is called the actor, maybe because it's outside the system. And this is called the lifeline. This is called the lifeline. So in this picture, there's how many lifelines? 3 and 1 actor. How many messages are there? Well, there's 1, 2, 3 regular messages and 1 return message, right? That's all I did so far. Okay, I don't want to have to make you suffer through me doing the whole thing, right? So, but that's the idea, okay? So, so again, we always go from top to bottom, right? Those are the order we follow. And as you can see on the side, there's a lot of options here. But we're not going to learn those because first of all, this class isn't about UML diagrams only. It's just, but also the main reason is because it's not worth these diagrams are only meant to show like your boss or somebody in the group like a quick presentation. They're not meant to be a work of art that you're going to hang on the wall, because if you hang it up on the wall in 1 week, it'll be false, right? They'll already have changed. So that's why we don't want to spend a lot of time on that, on these things, because these things are meant to be something just, to show, email to your group, say, this is how I think things are going to work. Do you agree or not? Right? Just a quick way of showing, representing how you're thinking, right? It's not meant to be a, something that you're gonna, always update every time there's a change, because you won't, right? Let's say we add an object, we delete an object, no one's gonna ever update this diagram, so it doesn't pay to make it real complicated, right? Unless, of course, your boss wants you to, then do it. But basically, this is all you really need to know for for showing it to other people, right? Okay, so Thursday we'll continue. We have a one more diagram to do, and we'll also start with computer architecture. Okay, chapter 6. Okay. So, and then again, a week from today, we'll not be here, right? We'll be online presenting our projects, right? Any questions, just ask me. I'll be happy to respond. Yeah.
It's like in the event that like like someone's late, or like people start like running overtime, like is there a way to tell when our new time slot would be?
Oh, I know I've always had that problem. I don't have a good answer. We do it in order, basically. But you could sort of guess, like, put like this, if you miss your time slot, then I'm not going to penalize you because, unless, but if but basically, it's just like who goes first, who goes second. But if you're not going to there by accident, you're not going to lose out. Okay, you don't have to wait, to hear your name called. Yeah. Okay, so.